Welcome to the Arizona Construction and Renovations Employee and Staff Training Program. These tutorials are meant to enhance your knowledge of our internal processes and are not to be shared with others outside of the company.
Good morning and welcome to the role overview for Operations Manager, as well as some proven jobs training. Today I'll be going over the role itself, an overview of your responsibilities, your direct interactions with proven jobs, the items you receive from other roles, as well as those that other roles expect from you. I'll also be covering the teams you collaborate with, how to measure your success within the company, and where to go for help should you need it. So let's get started. The purpose of the operations manager role is to oversee and manage job timelines, the resource allocation, and communication during the production phase to ensure the job stays on schedule and the client and TPA expectations are met. It is important to also smoothly transition to the collections for AR and then payments out for AP at the end of a job. The primary focus of an operations manager is for production over as soon as ATP or authorization to proceed is provided. Job enters an operational, find a project manager and schedule them for the pre-con walk to start the process of the production. You handle the job from ATP to PCN, which stands for Project Completion Notice, the last notification out that a job has been completed, that we are no longer working on site, there are no issues with the client, the job is completed. Another primary focus is assignment of PMs, as I had stated, and direction to the PMs, obviously non-field related, not technical regarding the actual fix itself, but direction for the PM regarding discussions with clients, interaction between different entities inside the company, just non-field related direction. The operations manager manages all project managers. You're also going to consolidate updates for the job, taking all the information from everybody involved, and then providing one simple update weekly for TPA jobs or updating the client. So there's one source of truth, one person they can talk to outside of their PM. Schedule coordination, also an important role for operations manager, or an important part of the operations manager role, and external status reporting, so giving information out to external entities. Major players, internally, you'll be interacting a lot with PMs, giving direction, updates, doing check-ins, and the project coordinators as well, receiving the handoff from origination into production. After that ATP, you'll be communicating with the project coordinator regarding anything specific about the job that you may need to know about that was not passed on through the paperwork you received from an estimator. Externally, the clients and adjusters, carriers, TPAs, you'll be interacting with them regarding schedule updates, delays, and status reports. Next section we're moving over into is an overview, your role beginning to end, and deliverables within the job. So overview, your job begins upon ATP notification, as I had mentioned, and the job enters production phase. It ends when a PCA is sent to accounts receivable. So no more scheduled work, jobs completed, signed off, ready for payment. The things you receive from the previous role is an authorization to proceed from the project coordinator in PSA with accurate client details. Sorry, no, that is going to be received from accounts receivable. You received the authorization to proceed for an ATP marked job in PSA with accurate client details. The estimator, you will receive an approved estimate as well as the work order with budget per trade, scope, and a photo report. And accounts receivable will be uploading the signed contract and a paid invoice. I mentioned PC before because the job that you receive in PSA needs accurate details provided by a project coordinator. Deliverable to the next role. So AR will be expecting from you a project completion notice, PCN, sent through the workflows, meaning you do not need to send a specific email or text or anything like that. By providing the PCN date, the accounts receivable receives the workflow notification stating that it is complete. So no specific notification required, it comes from the system. Accounts payable will receive a request for payment that is also sent through workflows. So as soon as a PCN is done, and that date is entered by you, operations manager. AR and AP receive notifications saying pay who needs to get paid and invoice who needs to get invoiced. PSA deliverable, you need to deliver to PSA the final photos and a COS, project sign off, uploaded from the PM. So those are the deliverables to the next role. There is no next role really that receives those, but for auditing purposes, we need to make sure we have those uploaded so we can get paid. Lastly, key transition points. At authorization to proceed, you receive the job, you sign the PM, schedule, put a pre-con walk in. Ongoing, you are going to provide regular production updates. And the last key transition point is at job completion, you issue PCN and it goes to AR and the job is out of production, no longer your responsibility unless there are additional details needed by AR. We're moving into is for proven jobs specifically, your daily and weekly tasks inside of proven jobs. Weekly, there are milestones and notes required for TPA jobs in production. So every week you're providing one note at least on each job, an update, structured, unstructured, based on the notification we need to send out. Weekly, you are also required to follow up with PMs to determine their job and task priority. So the weight of the jobs, the weight of the different workload that your project managers have needs to be taken into account as new jobs are being assigned. If a job is closing, that opens up that project manager to receipt of a new job of similar workload. Just do your best to balance that so that one project manager is not weighed down with too many jobs. Daily, you'll be required to check in with outstanding and unresponsive jobs, anybody you're not able to schedule a pre-con with, anybody who is, we've scheduled the work for and they are unresponsive. We need to daily check in with those to keep those moving. After a certain amount of time, you can determine that they are totally unresponsive and we can close the job. But daily, we need to be checking in until we determine that. Primary screens inside of proven jobs, which I have info tab. We've got the name of the job, the number of the job, the customer, contact information, address, claim number, policy number, etc., as well as the alternative status that it's currently in, which tells us the status internally that we're tracking that job at. Next screen that we've got is going to be the dates screen, where you'll be spending the majority of your time because this is where the actual input goes in. On this screen of dates, the dates you'll be entering in. If it does not have parentheses around it, this is something that is linked out to our different TPA portals. The loss claim received, contact inspected, etc. All these without parentheses are items that have a real connection to a TPA portal date that we are being measured against in some way. So adding a date here for a job that is linked to Exactware or to Symbility will put that date in the job's assignment in that portal. So if I put an approved date, it pushes to the appropriate portal. If the date is entered from the portal, it pushes to here as well. So it is a two-way sync for the items not surrounded by parentheses. Entering dates into there affects the jobs in the portals and adds real dates to them. As far as the ones that are in parentheses, those can be freely added. These are internal dates. These do drive workflows. So there are workflows that are expecting inputs in certain sections here. So the scheduled estimator inspection being entered by a project coordinator will send the estimator a notice saying we're scheduled to inspect this job, provide them a date, time. Same thing for the pre-con being scheduled. As operations manager, you assign a PM and schedule a pre-con. Entering this date gives them a notification in Outlook in the form of an email that says you are scheduled for this inspection. Make sure the operations manager adds the calendar invite to your Outlook, and here's all the details that you need. So on top of adding the date here, you need to also schedule it in Outlook for the project manager. Schedule those pre-cons. Next we've got relationships here. So this is where you're actually adding the project manager. So under relationships tab, we can see everybody assigned. There's only an estimator here. So to add a project manager, we're going to go to the employees tab, add a project manager. I'm going to add our PSA test employee as a project manager. So I was able to do that by clicking where it says click to add and selecting them from the drop down. You will only see people who have the tag of project manager on this list. So if somebody's missing, you need to inform management that they need to add a new project manager, somebody who's not on that list, so they can be selected. If we needed to add a second project manager because it's a large job, or we have somebody in training, or for whatever purpose, we cannot click in here and add another project manager because it will replace this project manager here. So what you'll need to do is find the employee that you're adding at the top. We're going to say that this is going to be for Ed. And you can see here, it only allows us to select what he is able to be chosen for, which is project manager and salesperson, because everybody's a salesperson. So if I select my new project manager, my second project manager, and I click add, we can see here that they were added to the job. 2 project managers. I'm going to remove Ed for now, save that, and now we've got a project manager on our relationships tab. PM. All right, so that's how you manage your relationships. Inside of here, you really only should be adding a project manager or project managers. Next, we're moving on to the notes tab. Notes is pretty obvious, but this is where we create notes to communicate internally and externally. The only difference between those is the public checkbox here. If I'm making a note public, it pushes to any linked portal, and that note will post there. If it is not made public, it is for internal use only. Notes do not drive workflows, so nothing you put in here is going to make the job move on to the next step. Only dates drive workflows. So learn the dates associated with the different workflows. We can go over that at a different time, but just know that notes do not push your workflows forward. And you can notify people through notes by adding them as recipients, obviously, but it's not going to give them any specific notes about what to do next. So don't bypass the workflows, enter your dates. These notes are for other circumstances. Other screens you'll be using inside of here, the attachments tab, anything that gets uploaded by a PM, or if they're in the field and the PM sends you something, you have the ability to upload it here for them. The during photos and the after photos are the responsibility of project manager to input, but if they are not able to, or they request assistance in doing that, you should know that under construction photos, there should be 3 here. We've got before, during, and after. The before photos are provided by an estimator. During photos are provided during construction, during reconstruction, during the course of the project. When we start swinging hammers, when we have people on site. Your field reports, that's what the field reports of the project managers, that's what during is for. We put all the photos so we can show that we're actively doing work. It's just important to capture that. After photos, same thing. Once the project is fully completed, we are sending a PCN. We do those final photos. Those final photos from the PM, they get uploaded into the after section. There's a lot of other folders here that can be used. Anything that gets signed can get uploaded into here. Any revised estimates, we make sure that the estimator provides those. Anytime we have a supplement, we make sure that more accurate, up-to-date estimate gets entered into here. The job is technically still in production, so you are managing this, not the project coordinator. So keep accurate records, make sure that the people working underneath you are doing what they're supposed to. The next screen that we function on is going to actually be all the way over here at custom fields. So custom fields allows us to remove or allows us to select the original PM or original estimator. The purpose of these fields, even though we have these relationships that we're tracking here, obviously we have the project manager as our test employee and the estimator as me. However, once the job enters production, we no longer want our estimators to be able to see that job on their list. So they no longer have any reason to interact with the job unless a change order or a supplement comes through. So we would actually remove them from the job. But prior to removing them, we need to make sure that if we ever have any change orders or revisions, or the job needs to be audited to figure out why something happened with the estimate, we need to make sure that without use of the audit logs and checking on the history of the job, you can quickly and easily find who originally was assigned to this job, whether it be project manager or estimator. So the custom fields allows us to do that. If I'm going to remove Thomas Eber as the estimator for this job, I want to capture that he was the original estimator by selecting him here. Then I can save it, remove him as the estimator. And when that estimator views the job, when they are sorted viewing only their own jobs, they will not be able to find it because they no longer attach to the job. So I can only see 22 jobs instead of 23. And so I will not be able to view this job since I am no longer directly working on it. If you want to re-add them, you can re-add them under the relationships tab in case there's a change order supplement. You re-add that original estimator, and you can just leave the custom field filled out because it doesn't affect anything. It's just a text box. You can do the same thing for PM. Make sure you select them. The test PSA employee is not on this list, but we can capture the original PM and select them there and save it. Other than that, the exactware tab is helpful just to get directly to the assignment in XA, because that's the only other screen that you'll really be operating out of. Well, there's plenty of TPA portals. The job track, I believe Alacrity has their own. AccuServe also has their own portal. So whatever portals you're using, those will obviously be daily screens that you'll be checking in on for outstanding jobs, for jobs requesting notes and updates. But this is a very helpful tool. This link to whether it's exact analysis or Symbility, going directly to that job by clicking on it, very useful, but you have to be signed in. The key data, you'll be interacting with the PSA, improving jobs. PM assignments, as soon as you receive a job, you should think about who you're going to assign it to, assign it, and then call to schedule the pre-con. Shouldn't waste any time. That is an immediate ask, is an immediate request. As soon as you get an ATP, assign a PM, schedule the pre-con meeting, the pre-con walk, and pass it on to them. Once you add that date, they'll get notified. Schedule adjustments are also important. Whenever anything happens with the schedule, you need to make sure that your PM's communicating that to all the appropriate parties, but they may not be interacting with exact analysis. So you will have to put a note in there noting any schedule adjustments or delays. Progress updates also important. Those go into XA or Symbility. Also, we can communicate those to the client if they request. If they're not on site, if they're out of town, we give regular progress updates to our clients. External communication logs also important, whether that's in TPA portal, wherever that's at. Just making sure we're constantly communicating what updates we have and paying attention to the requests that they have for us. Lastly, key data, PCN issuance and status. So when we are done with a project, you need to make sure that you are immediately issuing a PCN by entering the date in the dates tab for PCN. Once that date gets added, it pushes it to AR and AP. Notifications from PSA that you'll receive as operations manager. In core and TPA jobs, the authorization to proceed notification comes through once that ATP date is entered by AR. It lets you know to assign a PM and schedule that PM for the pre-con. Also, the PCN notification goes to you even though you are the one who enters it, informing you of completion of a job. So it'll tell you next steps, if any are required, through that notification. Moving on to our fourth section, we've got deliverables. So we spoke about this before, but more specifically, the main outputs, your assignment to PMs, the pre-con walk, and calendar invite are very important upon the beginning of a job. The consolidated job progress updates in PSA and TPA portals, very important. Any delay notifications to client carrier TPA, those are outputs required by you. When things happen, the delay notification has to come from you because PMs will not be in XA, letting them know about certain delays. And the PCN to AR job completion. The quality and completion standards for these deliverables, they need to be timely, accurate, fully documented. So entries into PSA as well as the TPA portals, they need to be quickly put in, accurately put in, fully documented, lots of detail. And the quality the professionalism used in these communications. We do not use things like LOL when we're noting TPA portals. We don't use common language like that, as well as putting emojis into updates. Just all nonsense. We don't function like that. We want to maintain professionalism. 95% of your PCN submissions should have no additional visits. That means if you communicate with a PM and they tell you that it's done, and you need to be auditing the information they're giving you to make sure that you have the photos, that they've done the work correctly, that they've done it based on the scope, and what you have access to. When you submit a PCN, if we have to go out and warranty work or do, an additional visit, that is marked against you. So 95%. Every 20 jobs you close, you are allowed one site visit where we are going back and working on something after a job is supposed to be closed. True warranty work is different. If something happened, a while after the job is completed, something's discovered, a workmanship issue, a subcontractor, or one of our field guys hid an issue that is not recorded against you, it's avoidable issues with PCNs and additional visits. Lastly, the TPA and carrier guidelines at job closeout. We need to be making sure that we are pushing for a 4.0 POM score. Project coordinators are being given the same goal. Anything within their purview, anything they are responsible for, their goals being set as a 4.0 for the POM scores. So you're given the same quality standard. Deadlines for those deliverables. So on arrival, as soon as you get that ATP, I'd mentioned PM assignment, pre-con walk gets scheduled, calendar invite goes out. That's quick. As soon as you get that happens. Weekly, you're required to update clients, TPAs, carriers on job progress, and every 24 hour or within 24 hours of getting a punch list or a signed project sign off, you are putting in a PCN date. So as soon as that is provided to you by the project manager, you have 24 hours to ensure that job is at the stage of PCN, and then issuing that PCN by entering the date in PSA. Who uses these deliverables? So project managers use the direction and schedules to plan their site visits. They already have some jobs that they're currently going to be working on, so anything added to their schedule, they're going to plan around. So you need to make sure your schedule is accurate. You're not giving them an hour and a half for a $1,000 job unless there's a lot of travel time. So you account for the travel time in between. You make sure that your schedules that you're giving them are accurate. The scopes are accurate. You're communicating with them so they know what to expect and they can plan their day accordingly for additional site visits for their other jobs. Also, clients, carriers, and TPAs use the status updates you produce to track job progress and grade us. Lastly, AR uses our PCN for final billing. So you got 3 people relying on you to provide that accurate information. Our 5th section is for collaboration. So internal communication, the project managers obviously updates, direction, scheduling, and check-ins. Project coordinators, you are getting an origination handoff, so that communication is required, and AR, the PCN handoff. Externally, you're discussing with clients, the schedules and delay that you may have. Any communication goes to the clients. Adjusters, carriers, and TPAs, you're providing status reports and portal updates, as well as issue and escalation handling. Preferred methods and tools. Inside of proven jobs, we have notes, tasks, and attachments. So that is a main form of communication. You're putting in notes that you can make public to go to a portal, or internally you can tag people to get in that. You're tasking people with items and putting attachments in. So those are the main ways that you kind of communicate within proven jobs. For exact analysis and stability, use communication to adjusters and TPAs. That's what that's useful for. With Outlook, you are putting scheduled pre-con walks and other things on the calendar for your project managers. You're also providing formal updates and formal delay notifications to clients through Outlook. We can text them if required, but an email provides a paper trail. So that's a really good way of communicating, unless they prefer text, at which point you have the ability to take a screenshot of the text, upload it into PSA if you'd like, just for record keeping. Last method of communication is phone or WhatsApp. We use that really just for urgent updates in internally. So you can call somebody, you can WhatsApp them, urgent updates for internal only, unless the client requests phone or text communication. When and how to escalate. So if you run into any issues internally, major delays and any roadblocks, you go to a senior PM. If you're having trouble working with one of your project managers, if they're not providing updates and not providing what you've requested, you can discuss that with the senior PM. You can escalate further to leadership if you don't get anything. But really, realistically, you should speak to the PM first about any performance issues. Go to the lowest level first to try to solve it. The PM does not take your advice. Senior PM, beyond that, you escalate to ownership. Externally, any carrier disputes, you can go to the TPA or carrier POC. If you feel like the job's not being handled fairly for our company, something's being overlooked, you can escalate to the carrier and speak to their manager. Uh, Second to last section, we've got KPIs. So how you measure your own success. 90% plus adherence to estimated start and completion dates. So if you're putting in an estimated start completion date, 90% of your jobs, so 9 out of 10 jobs need to start and complete on the dates that you've entered, with some tolerance allowed. The other 10%, those are things that we allow things to happen. We're looking for avoidable issues. Next, I mentioned the 4.0 POM score adherence. We're pushing for higher than 4.0, but 4.0 is realistically what we're looking for. It is realistic to achieve as somebody who doesn't just specifically do roof repairs. Roofers have it easy in scoring 5s consistently. We are general contractors, so it's difficult to get an inspection done within 12 hours of receipt of an assignment. It's difficult to upload the estimate on time. It's difficult to complete it on time based on the dollar amounts that they've determined are appropriate. So learn your POM scores, memorize them, and shoot for 4.0 in all circumstances. The last measure of success is 95% timely PCN to payment. So no delays from production. Again, that 95% means you can have an issue every 1 in 20 jobs, but realistically, we are looking for that 95%, meaning when you receive a PCN notification from your PM, they tell you that the job's done. You are doing enough of an audit within your own jobs to make sure that they covered certain things were issues, make sure that you communicated with the client, that they communicated with the client, that there's going to be no need for a revisit, because AR is going to be measured on how long it takes them to receive payment after PCN. So if the delay is caused by you, they are not being graded against them. The delays from production are being graded against operations manager's success. So next, within KPIs, the target expectations. So high on schedule percentage at 95%. We're looking for low rework from poor coordination. So we want to reduce the amount of wasted man hours from jobs being poorly coordinated, communication being poorly done. The expectation is also that we're going to get positive external feedback. We function a lot off of referrals as much as we do TPAs, just handing us jobs. We also have a very high Google review rate for the number of Google reviews that we have. So positive external feedback does not just include TPAs and carriers, but also the clients that we work with themselves. We would like them to be rating us highly in any way that we can get that would increase our visibility for other potential clients. Last target expectation is efficient PM workload balancing. You might hear from your PMs that they have too many jobs, but if everybody's saying that, then there's obviously some issue there. So work to balance the project manager's workload. If you meet with these project managers regularly and you see that each of them is handling too many jobs, that's something you can bring to management. Other than that, you're just balancing the workload that we have. We have work coming in, winning as many jobs as possible. So balance that workload between all your project managers based on their skill set and workload. Your effect on the company as an operations manager is a smooth production phase to drive faster closeouts. Smoother that production goes, the more that you keep on your project managers about meeting their deadlines, the smoother production goes, the less delays we have. better cash flow, and stronger relationships, not just with our clients, but with the carriers and TPAs as well. They measure our success based on how fast we deliver certain things. And the most important is actually closing out the job. So we show ourselves to be quick and efficient at doing that, at closing out jobs, as well as not having a whole lot of issues with the clients that they deal with. We're going to strengthen that relationship and win more work, potentially larger jobs as well. Um, Also, we want to reduce overhead from delays, um, just wasted money when we waste man hours with poor coordination, as mentioned before, and higher overall profitability. That's your effect that you have on the company. You are really the person driving production for all project managers. They're the ones out there coordinating the work, communicating with clients, checking up on it, providing the info back to you. But you are the hub for all those project managers. You are the one keeping track of everybody's schedule. So very important role. Last section that we've got is help, job aids, and subject matter experts. So firstly, a job aid is going to be this document that I'm using here. I'm going to distribute that for your review, as well as another job aid being PSA Academy. For basic function within PSA, including mobile, how to navigate through there, I recommend taking PSA Academy first before watching any instructional videos for the company, so you can have a good foundation for how that works. Subject matter experts, Steve Alave and Thomas Eber, myself, can be used to help guide you inside of proven jobs or any other systems that we use. Where to find help, get this document and the PSA help library. So the PSA help library has a lot of questions that have already been answered that you may have. And then the Proven Learning series on YouTube is also a good resource for you. That is the Proven Learning series on YouTube. Last, where to find help would be support@canamsys.com, support@canamsys.com, and internal contacts, Steve, Tom, and Brian as well. That's it. That is a total overview of your role and the Proven Jobs training. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.